I may not know movies very well, but I do know Dragon Ball, and DBS Broly has done insanely well for itself since its release, making over $5 million on opening day in the US, which, by the way, was a Wednesday. Not an opening weekend, a Wednesday. And in Japan, it reached over 1.5 billion yen over its first 3 days, which is about $9.3 million US. Why are those numbers important? Because it shows that this is the first Dragon Ball movie to really be taken seriously, not just shown one day as a re-release or something. And it's the first Dragon Ball movie to really do well in theaters. But enough of the stats. Right now I want to talk about the actual reason you clicked on this video, the movie itself. So here's your spoiler warning. Now, I'm going to explain a couple of things for those who don't really know the characters and whatnot, but this isn't a Dragon Ball for beginners video, so I might just blaze past some names and terms you aren't familiar with. Chances are, though, if you clicked on this, you're pretty familiar with Dragon Ball, so you'll be able to keep up. So let's get into it. You know, I'm impressed. I mean, wow, I didn't realize all the challenges that this movie had to face until after I had watched it, but really, it overcame all of those. Now hear me out, I am a DBZ fanboy, but I do have some issues with this film, so don't think that I'm just gonna praise it all the way through just because of its source material. But most of it really is good. For those who don't know, the legendary Super Saiyan Broly wasn't an official canon character before this movie's release, so there was a lot of pressure on Toriyama to reinvent this character that wasn't just a copycat of the original Broly, but also an improvement to the character that people already loved. How do you take something that people want to be reborn without changing it too much or screwing it up? Well, surprise, surprise, he nailed it. This version of Broly, the official version now, has depth, which is quite the difference from the original Broly. He's no longer just this one-dimensional Frankenstein's monster freak show type of character. He has his own story, and you get to see the moments in his life when he was growing up that have affected him and shaped and molded him to be how he is when he's a full-grown adult. You know, like regular characters are. It's refreshing, and it was handled right. Outside of Broly's character, the main focus and time spent on characters and development, I would have to say is mainly spent on Frieza, Bardock, Paragus, Broly's father, and 2 new characters who we'll talk about in a second. So the popular heavy hitters that you're used to seeing so much on screen, like Goku and Vegeta, they're really secondary in my opinion in this movie, and it was kind of a breath of fresh air to be honest. They're still a huge part of the movie, but other than fighting Broly, they didn't add a whole lot other than showing off new transformations and bringing another fan favorite character to life in the official canon, Gogeta. And he was amazing. Now I realize that is a big deal, but listen to what I'm saying here. The pacing of the movie put so much energy and focus in Act 1, the beginning of the movie, and it heavily outweighed the rest. That rest of the movie, which got outweighed, is what included Goku, Vegeta, and Gogeta. Act 1 of the movie served not only as a catalyst to show Planet Vegeta, the early Saiyans, King Vegeta, Bardock, Kakarot, and just all that early Saiyan life that we're used to only seeing flashbacks and hearing memories about, it also showed the transition of King Cold passing down his crown and his reign to his son, Frieza. The transition of Cold Force to the Frieza Force. And that's a part of Dragon Ball history that I wasn't aware that I was missing. It was so enjoyable to watch. You got to see the ruthless, evil roots of Frieza when he's like a kid. Like, he's so much more evil when he's a child, and I don't know, it just adds to his character. I loved it.
Hello, monkeys!
And all of this was complementing to the development of Broly's character, and it served to be this seasoning aid rather than a forced, necessary backstory for the sake of being a pretext to the character's existence. If that makes any sense. I guess what I'm trying to say is oftentimes movies feel like, okay, if we're gonna throw this character on screen, we have to give this mini origin story. And then there's like this forced, 5-minute montage of their history or growing up. And it just feels kind of like, well, okay, that was apparently needed, but it wasn't very good. This was not that at all. Broly's development and backstory is so enjoyable to watch. Remember at the beginning when I said there was a lot of challenges that this movie had to face head on and it conquered all of them? Just keep that in mind as I go through this and realize everything that this movie did. For example, Act 1 also changes the origin story of Goku, the main freaking protagonist in the entire series. It changes Goku's origin story and then the mindset of Bardock a little bit. bit as well. So Bardock, the father of Goku, isn't really canon, and now we have to face this, okay, if that's true, then what was Bardock like, and where did Goku come from, and how did that all play out? In Bardock, the father of Goku, Bardock was like this cold, semi-heartless, aggressive warrior. That's fine, because that's kind of how the Saiyans were. I actually really like the old Bardock, to be honest. But I'm okay with this one. See, in DBS Broly, it portrays Bardock as being a much more pure-hearted Saiyan that's kind of battling with this moral confliction, I guess you could say. That's how I saw it. And he has this idea to send his son Kakarot, Goku, away for the purpose of saving him because he's seen as this low-class warrior, and he knew that they're just not gonna let him survive. So not only is Goku's origin story changed, but before this movie, Broly hated Goku for one moronic, stupid reason. Goku cried loudly next to him as a baby in his crib. I'm not kidding you, like what a stupid backstory this man had for his feud and hatred for Goku. It's like literally all the maturing and development in Broly's brain stopped at being a baby when Goku was crying, and now he's just like, yep, I hate him. And he grew up into this adult with this still like baby tantrum mindset of crying because there's a disturbance when he's trying to sleep. So it's like this baby in an adult's body that's just overpowered. That's kind of how I always saw Broly. It's so stupid. He's so one-dimensional. This movie shows that Broly doesn't have any preceded hatred for Goku. They just end up fighting later because of some directed influence from Frieza and Paragus, but he doesn't hate him for a specific reason. Alright, I gotta back up a little bit and explain some plot to really show the strength in Broly's character development in this movie. So bear with me as we plow through this plot line. So Broly gets put in a ship and sent off of planet Vegeta specifically because they consider him a threat. Like he's too powerful as a baby, he's got too high of a power level, they're kind of scared of him, right? So they send him to planet Vampa, which is like this harsh, desolate planet. So they're basically sending him away to die. And the atmosphere and the animals and the life on this planet is a testament to Toriyama's creativity. There's these creatures that literally survive by sucking the blood of other creatures. They're parasites. And then the creatures that are getting their blood sucked actually eat the parasites that are sucking their blood, right? It's like this crazy food cycle, this food chain, right? They could have easily just made planet Vampa this dark, foggy planet with like these monsters on it and not explain the food cycle or how these characters survive or anything. But no, Toriyama wanted an entire atmosphere for the planet that Broly grows up on. And I love that he puts that much detail and thought into the backstory of this character. Anyways, Broly goes to this planet, his father finds out that he was sent away, so he goes after him, right? He leaves planet Vegeta, he leaves the Saiyans, and he steals a ship and takes a pilot hostage with him along the way. And they find Broly surviving on planet Vampa alone, as a baby, right? He's like killing these monstrous creatures on his own because his power level is just insane. Paragus commits to raising Broly on planet Vampa. He kills the pilot that he took hostage with him. Broly grows up to be an adult and they're kind of forgotten about by everybody, right? They're on their own in planet Vampa and forgotten. Fast forward to the present time, and two members from the modern Frieza Force end up finding Paragus and Broly. And I love that the modern Frieza Force is still going. Like, this is after the Tournament of Power, and Frieza is back to his good old evil Saiyan-hating self. And the two characters that find Paragus and Broly on planet Vampa are named Chile and Lemo. I hope I'm saying that right. But they're the two side characters that I mentioned earlier that really play a big role in this movie. They don't think that Saiyans really exist anymore, so when they find Broly and Paragus on planet Vampa, they're like, okay, we need to bring these two back to Frieza and cash in for a sweet reward. And they do. As they come back though, these two characters start developing a trust and relationship with Broly, and this is the little storyline that is so incredibly enjoyable with these two. The point that we're at in the Dragon Ball universe right now, it's crazy to me that you can take these two low-level grunt characters and make them compelling and enjoyable and make the audience actually care about them. Like, that was easier to do back when Super Saiyan was just this myth, to bring in a character that's not that powerful and have the audience still care about them. But now that Goku and Vegeta are basically on the same level as gods, that's a very hard task to do. Like, if you're not powerful, why should I care about these little grunts? Well, that could be a whole video in itself, but let's just say that Toriyama pulled this off perfectly. Although, I'm not gonna lie, he did get some help with some cheap tricks from the animators to get the audience to like Chile. At first I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe I'm overthinking this and the fact that she's slightly over-sexualized, but the more and more that I was watching, the more and more scenes happened where she was in these questionable poses and the camera would cut away real quick, but then it would come back and really focus on her, and I was like, okay, this is definitely on purpose. Like, I know Toriyama isn't responsible for the animation, but this is a little cheesy, right? But hey, it apparently worked, so whatever, I get it. Anyways, Chile and Lemo gain Broly's trust, and they bring this social humanity and society acceptance to his character. We finally figure out what that fur skirt cape thing that Broly is wearing, we kind of finally figure out where that comes from. Chile tries to grab it off of Broly's waist, and he gets really defensive about it. And we find that Broly literally, as a child, was playing with this predatory creature on planet Vampa, where he grew up as a kid, and Paragus wanted him to be training, not playing. So Paragus got frustrated and shot off the ear of this creature. I don't actually know if the thing died, but either way, Broly lost trust with the creature, and he kept that ear because he was so sad about the friend that he once had when he was a kid. And that's where that fur cape comes from. It's the fur from the ear of the creature. Broly named this creature Ba. It was his friend. He named it Ba because of the sound that it made. Like, holy crap. There's a backstory for this character. It's a bit primitive, but that's sort of who Broly is and why he has such trouble communicating with others and keeping a level head. He's a freaking barbarian because he was born with an insane power level and then sent to his death. He was sent to a death planet with no other Saiyans or humans to interact with or life to really experience. He didn't experience love or fun or happiness. Yet in the midst of all of this awfulness on the planet, he found one friend in one terrifying creature. But because he had this insane power level, the creature wasn't terrifying to him, and he began playing with it and even gave it a name based off of the sound that it made. There's your backstory. That's incredible. Anyway, Bulma and friends, being Goku, Vegeta, Whis, and Beerus, they're off doing their own thing, and we find out that Bulma is trying to gather all the Dragon Balls so that she can make a wish to become 5 years younger. Because any more than 5 years, people would notice and it wouldn't look natural. Now, as funny as that wish is by itself, we soon find out that Frieza is also searching for the Dragon Balls because he wishes to become 5 centimeters taller. Because any more than that, and people would notice and it wouldn't look natural. That is classic Dragon Ball humor. That is the definition of it. So this movie not only has depth, character development, beautiful animation, it also has humor. So it's got a lot. Anyways, the last Dragon Ball ends up being on this Arctic planet. So everyone ends up meeting there at the same time, and as a result, a fight breaks out. Now, it may seem like I'm taking forever to explain the plot of the movie, and you may be thinking, okay, when are you actually going to get to like Goku, Vegeta, Gogeta, and Broly fighting? Because that's the majority of what we see in the trailers, right? Like, if you've taken this long to explain the plot up until that point, don't you still have like another 30 minutes to explain? And that's kind of how I felt. Once the fighting started, it was like this insane rush of adrenaline. It was exciting, it got your blood pumping, and things were moving so fast-paced, it was absolutely ridiculous. But it was fast, and more importantly, it was rushed. The animation is beautiful, the attacks are original, the transformations are well displayed, but it all goes so quickly. Pacing. That is one of the very few things I feel are a weakness to this movie. They took it slow at the beginning and they put the most focus on Act 1, which was the best part to go slow and put focus on. However, as a result, it left the rest of the movie feeling super rushed. Honestly, I don't know the actual timing of this, but when they got to the ice planet and started fighting, it felt like less than 5 minutes before the entire planet turned into this destruction, fiery lava environment. Which is funny because when you think about Dragon Ball Z episodes, the stereotype is that they take forever, right? It took Goku 20 episodes to defeat Frieza, and this movie rushes a battle to be over in what feels like less than 5 minutes. But I get it, it's a movie, not 20 episodes in a series, so the fight kind of has to be fast, right? So what else are they supposed to do? Well, this movie is only an hour and 41 minutes long, so logically my brain says it's a movie and it's getting taken seriously in theaters, so just make it longer. Make it a 2.5 hour movie like the standard is. On the other hand, I know more time and more content just means paying people more money, paying animators more money too, so I totally get it. Honestly, other than that, the flaws were very minor and this movie is great. The animation is absolutely to die for. Gogeta Blue was just as awesome as you'd imagine. imagined him to be, and they ended up protecting Broly's character. He was honestly gonna lose that battle if he tried to eat the final Kamehameha at the end from Gogeta, so the fact that the wish from Shenron sent Broly back to his home planet Vampa in just the nick of time was a good thing. Because now, there's potential for more. Goku goes and basically makes friends with Broly at the end of the movie, and we see Broly smile and become more of this good guy at the end. He was never really evil in the first place, but he couldn't control his power when he was fighting, so he was just taking on everyone, including even Whis at one point, which was brilliantly hilarious, because Whis just dodged everything. So they showed, yep, Whis is still just as powerful as we said he was at the beginning. So in conclusion, let's just recognize what Toriyama was able to do in this movie. He successfully reinvented and introduced a major character into Dragon Ball canon. He brought another new character via fusion into canon. He gave Vegeta a new transformation, thank goodness. He made 2 side grunt characters insanely likable and hopefully will keep them around for future storylines. He created a movie that had depth, character development, beautiful animation, and humor all in 1 hour and 41 minutes, and released an anime movie in real life in theaters that did well financially and was well respected as a legitimate theatrical release. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not deserve Akira Toriyama. I give Dragon Ball Super Broly an 8 out of 10. It feels a tad bit high when I think about like serious real actor movies that I also consider 8 out of 10s, but this was a lot of challenges that this movie had to face and it overcame all of them, and really its only flaw was the pacing of the movie. That's pretty well done. Plus, Dragon Ball is my #1 fandom, so I have a tad bit of a biased opinion. But hey, I took that into consideration because before I took that into consideration, my score was a 9 out of 10, so give me some credit. Honestly, I wanted to do a character analysis video as a separate video from this, but I just know myself well, I'm not going to have the time. So I tried to fit it all in this one review video, so I know it was long, but thanks for bearing with me. But if character analysis is your thing, man, do I have the video for you. I'll link the video and the channel in the description and this video right now, but head over onto Shahan Reviews and watch his Why Broly is a Great Character Now video. He's the same guy that made the Obi-Wan Remembers the Truth video that went viral 3 years ago, and he's honestly one of the smartest guys when it comes to content creation, whether it's movies or videos or comics or books or TV shows or whatever. And he's also my go-to when it comes to Dragon Ball lore because he's a huge Dragon Ball fan. So head over to that video because he can explain the depth of the character of Broly now that it's canon way better than I ever could, and it's really worth checking out. The last thing I want to say about Dragon Ball Super Broly is that I am optimistic and it gave me hope for the future of Dragon Ball. There's going to be more development in his character. There's going to be more storylines with Chile and Lemo and Broly. There has to be. And there's going to be development with Goku and Broly as friends rather than enemies. And that's, oh man, that's just going to be so good. I'm really excited. If you haven't seen this movie, find any way you can to go see it if you're a Dragon Ball fan. You won't regret it. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.